Let's go. Omi homies, how's it going? It's good to be back. I haven't necessarily left. I've been here, but I feel like I haven't been putting out as much content really as I've done in the past, couple of years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Mostly it's just personal. I just don't have as much time. I don't know if I'm not sure many of you know, but I recently had my second child. I've kind of told some people real privately there, but I did have my second child recently, just a couple months ago. She's about 2.5 months at this point. So I feel like I've haven't been putting out as much content. I do apologize for that, but I have been busy. And if you think about it, also there hasn't really been much to talk about. I mean, development has been slow. There've been a few different milestones and things, and that's great. But now we've come to a point where there truly is quite a bit to talk about. So, what's going on? I think the first thing that's obvious and clear is that look at the OMI token price, man. I mean, it has gone from, you know, 0005, 055. People were calling for, even lower than that, like 40, possibly even lower. And it was a very scary time. I mean, we didn't know what to really expect. It could have gone a lot lower. Who knows? I mean, I was already down quite a bit even at those levels. But what's really kept me, I think, is just talking to a lot of you guys. A lot of people in the community has kind of kept me going and kept me really, really active. And it's been fun. I mean, just talking to a few other creators and stuff, this feels like the excitement of 2021 without the disappointment. So why have we pumped to where we are now, right? We're at like 001, 0012. There's still seems like a lot of momentum going. We could maybe go even more than that, right? It does feel that way. I was actually telling my wife about this. I haven't really been telling her much about OMI because no one wants to talk about the paper losses. So I haven't really talked about OMI for a year. Thankfully, she hasn't really asked. I would have told her, but I'm getting close to my break even, and I'm very excited about that. The fact that I could actually break even and look forward to future gains. But enough about that. Why have we pumped? There's been a lot of things, right? The MCP staking, the payout that has been released back to us. These are all things to get incredibly excited about. The big thing about MCP, as many of you know, is you can stake 10 million OMI into the veve Layer 2 wallet, and you receive MCP points. Now, these MCP points are rewarded to you in proportion to how much is in the pool. So, for example, let's say there's only 10 million OMI in this pool, and you staked 1 million. That means out of all those rewards, you're going to receive about 10% of whatever those rewards are. That's pretty great. So right now the points are really high. They're about 1,700 points. People have been posting, and it seems like if you're posting staking the max amount of OMI tokens, you seem to be receiving about roughly 1,700 MCP points. Now we know that likely this will go down because more people will stake. So as time goes on, likely that will go down. But if you're comparing 1,700 MCP points to people with massive collections, you can really compete. If you're a master collector or someone that has quite a bit of collectibles, if you're a low collector like me, someone who doesn't collect a whole lot, have a few pieces, a lot of comics now, I have a potential opportunity to compete with some of those big collectors. Now, I know I haven't talked to you a lot about this, but I always believed before this that OMI needs to be this engine that's almost a cheat code. It really unlocks the veve ecosystem. Otherwise, why would you go through all this effort? Why would you spend all this time trying to buy OMI if the benefits are really minimal? You might as well just buy more collectibles. And I do feel from what we've seen, this is kind of a good mix. A small collector like myself can compete with some bigger collections by having 10 million OMI. Now, 10 million OMI is like what, $11,000, $12,000 or something like that. That is a lot of money. I am not going to lie. That is a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to a lot of people. There's a lot of people with more money than that, that's really nothing. But as time goes on, you have to think about the ability to compete. 10,000 is pretty reasonable for a lot of people, with time. But imagine if OMI goes to, double eight or 0080, something like that. That's $80,000. What if OMI goes to 1 cent? That's $10,000. Excuse me, $100,000. That's not something that people can just drop. So by getting in early, by having these OMI tokens, you could potentially compete with a lot of large collectors in the future. So that's really exciting. Granted, these rewards are going to go down, and we don't really know 100% what these rewards will allow us to do. We know somewhat, right? We have things like, buying bronze tickets. That's coming soon. That's next in the developmental timeline. Buying bronze tickets to increase your chances at getting a drop. So, that's exciting, but I would like to see a lot more. And I definitely think we are going to see that. So it's really exciting. When do you think we can see bronze tickets? I think it's likely that we could see bronze tickets as early as this year. I just think about how to program bronze tickets. I'm not really technical at all, but it doesn't seem like it's incredibly difficult, right? A lot of the groundwork seems to already be laid. So bronze tickets, I'm sure when they release this, will probably see some bugs like we've seen with the waitlist drops. There've been a lot of bugs, but these bugs have been fixed fairly quickly, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure they're annoying. I haven't seen too many. It hasn't really affected me too much that I've noticed, but these bugs have been fixed relatively quickly. Another thing is the veveverse beta. I mean, right now it seems like there's a small pool of people on Twitter posting some things about the veveverse beta. When can we expect this? It's hard to really say, but I think a lot of the groundwork has already been laid. I also think we could see an expanded veveverse beta pool by the end of this year. I dare say this, but I think it's even possible we could see a full release of veveverse by the end of this year. I think it's very possible and reasonable at this point. I think that's going to be really exciting. There's something really important that I feel the veveverse brings to the platform. And this is that, the veveverse actually allows you to have core utility with your collectibles. By having a collectible, being able to showcase it to people in the community, actually bringing people together to talk about collectibles or just hang out is key. When you look at collectors in real life, they go to conventions. Sneakerheads, for example, is a good example to me. You need to be able to bring people together. And I think veveverse allows that. Things like having a car or a vehicle type collectible, being able to fly in that is a core utility, I think, about buying a digital collectible. So I think it releases core utility. I mean, there's other utility items that people speculate on, being able to get access to an event or maybe some real world location, or getting some sort of physical equivalent at a convention. These are all great, but I think the core utility really has to be being able to use it in some way beyond kind of the AR aspect. So I think that's going to be really, really cool to see. And I think we're going to see further impacts on the OMI token price with this. If you look at the sentiment of the community, it seems like people are incredibly excited on Twitter, and rightfully so. All these things we've been waiting for really since 2021, and for some people probably a lot later, is seeming to come to fruition. So it's very exciting to me to see this. Let me get a sip of water here. One thing I do want to talk about as well is the community. And I think a lot of the times there's kind of some cheesy aspect to this. People look at the community being unique as a cheesy aspect, or at least to talk about it seems to be a little cheesy. But I don't think it really is. I mean, you see people on Twitter that have made amazing friends. I myself had met some amazing people at Anaheim Designer Con. last year. And even the pool of people I talk to now is so much greater. And it's just a great sense of community. Community is what drives people to do the things they do. It's not necessarily money, it's not necessarily your possessions, but it's your friends, family, extended network is what makes life great. So when you look at all great tokens, you see that they have a large community aspect. With Bitcoin, obviously you had that psychology that came out of the 2008 2009 crash, and people drove to Bitcoin because they wanted an asset that would appreciate with time and not depreciate like the dollar. Even XRP with their court case, you see the return of this XRP army that has always had a strong community. And these are tokens that I feel like in the top 25, you need to have a community. And we have this. We have a community that keeps talking. We have streams like this. We have channels that are created, any sort of veve omi niche you could find on YouTube and Twitter and find your tribe. And I think we have this. This is kind of the incredible X factor that the OMI token, the veve collectibles seem to have. So I don't think it's corny to say the community is our greatest asset, our greatest weapon to actually do well in this sort of environment. I do want to talk about fudders. We've had a lot of fudders along the way. There's a lot of notable ones. They say things. There's a lot of negativity that has come about it. And I like to be very diplomatic, and some people think that might be two-faced, but I never liked the idea of being negative to another person because of really a difference in belief and not even something fundamentally very strong. Like some people get really worked up with politics or a lot of different social issues. Those are definitely infinitely more important than something like veve collectibles and our views on a particular company. So I feel like the reason why we shouldn't get involved or really negative with each other is because these are people that when the project starts to do well, like we've seen, these are people that are going to come back. So I feel like, I don't know why I'm really talking about, maybe because FUD has really been on my mind. I don't want to throw our recent successes in anyone's face because unfortunately, some people have been flooded out of the project, and that's unfortunate, right? That's really unfortunate. The point about this is we should be nice and friendly to one another. I think it's important to grow this community, right? This community is such an important aspect there. Anyways, that's a lot there. I want to get through some comments here. I've kind of just been rambling here, but Dawn says excitement is back. I definitely think so. I mean, it's incredible to see this. Mr. Lee, as you, I'm still here too. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing really well. By the Horn says hopefully many more 20% plus days ahead. Oh, wow. Zach R., good friend of mine, get some diapers for that new baby, fam. Thank you very much, man. You don't have to do that, but I really do appreciate that support. And Danny the Bull here, my good friend, one of my favorite creators here. He just finished his stream. I was, my wife is taking my oldest to the pool and my youngest is taking a nap right now. So I wanted to take this opportunity to actually stream. I don't know how much really time I have, so I'm just throwing this all out there. He had a great stream, by the way. I caught the last half of that. Walls says peak greed with current news, sold all my OMI for now. Enjoy this time. We'll drop back soon enough considering it's all speculation and the team moves slow. I do think there's going to be a healthy retracement. I think it's possible to go back to the triple zeros as a retracement. That would be a little bit bearish. I don't think that's going to happen for at least, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're going to have some good positive prices here for at least a few days, if not a week or so. I don't think we're going to immediately dump in the next day or so. And even we could see tomorrow us going even further, breaking that new local high of 0.0012. We could see 3 or 4 in the next few days like we've seen previously just a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I want to disagree with you here too. I think the team has been slow, but past behavior doesn't predict what's going to happen in the future. They've made a lot of great strides and changes over the past few months. I mean, what's happened in the past few months has really been incredible. So they've stuck to that strategy of not really sharing too much and just surprising us. I think I definitely disagree with you here. Omar says, let's go, Omi and Vivi. Zach R, good looks. Okay. Mark, time to sell the Corolla as the bull market indicator for the prophecy to be fulfilled. Waltz again says here he's hopped out at the 118. Oh, Pop, hello there. How's it going? 4-0 by the end of the year. I think I don't want to get too much into price predictions. I am going to talk a little bit about price here soon. Just some thoughts I have about what we can reasonably expect. My opinions only, not a price prediction. Vivi Fam Bam, good to see you. It's an exciting day. Again, I disagree with you here. I think tickets are going to be here by the end of the year. I don't think this is incredibly complicated. I think they purposely chose a utility item that they could fulfill. They said that OMI to NFT is technically complicated. I can see why. They purposely chose something that I think they could deliver. So time will tell here. Let's keep it going and get the collectibles back to all-time highs. Vivi Fam Bam, the community is a huge part of everything Vivi and Omi. Choose kindness. I welcome most of the futters back. Yeah. There are some people that have said completely atrocious, toxic things, and that triggers a lot of people. People always need an opportunity to be forgiven if they're genuinely repentant for kind of what they've said to others in the past. So the door should always be open. I talk to a lot of people that maybe they used to be really big bulls and now they're not. Because ultimately I made some great friendships along the way and I want to maintain those friendships. I think that's really important. 20 billion OMI was bridged so far. So that's a good number of people. I mean, that's, how much is that? That is maybe like 6.5% of the circulating supply, maybe. Mark says, I'd have to disagree with Walls. People won't want to take that 10 million out of their VV wallet, and that will help hold the price better than before. I've never been a big fan of staking overall. On one hand, that does take OMI out of circulating supply. It does. It is a little bit cumbersome to put in and take out at the end of the day. But people who are willing to stake are people who are probably not going to be selling anytime soon. They're probably holding in the intermediate term. They're not going to sell in the next 3 to 6 months. They may sell in the next, 3 to 12 months. So, ultimately we need things on both sides. We need people to not sell their tokens for whatever reason, and we need people to be buying their tokens. We saw the same thing, if you remember, with was it Ascendex who did their staking? I think it was Ascendex. They had some great promotion, like, hey, you can stake OMI and get 10% of your OMI, and all this money flooded into it. And then shortly thereafter, they of course decreased their staking and a lot of money left. So, staking, it really depends on what's attracting people to stake. If it's a financial incentive and that incentive dries up quickly, a lot of that money will go away. But if there's a long-term benefit, like, whatever we're going to see with OMI token utility, bronze tickets, and maybe a lot more things, receiving special rewards or special collectibles, special badges or special access. These are things that, might cause people to stay in the long term. So that's what I think about staking overall. I welcome hello negative K back when we hit 008. I used to jokingly call K hello FUD. I just thought it was funny to troll him with that. But he has been a little bit negative lately. I do hope maybe something happens and he turns another leaf here. But I don't like to diss people just because Omi is doing well right now. Now, price prediction. Where could we see the price of Omi going forward? People talk about things like the halving, what could happen with this halving here, and no one can really predict what's going to happen. People have been talking about a six-figure Bitcoin coming in the next halving and all sorts of kind of bullish price predictions. I've been sucked in before believing that Bitcoin could hit $100,000, and it caused me to jump the gun a little bit. I rushed in, putting a lot of money in very quickly when really I should have been dollar cost averaging. So I want to kind of learn from my mistake. My personal feeling is that since people are talking about $100,000 Bitcoin, maybe we won't see that. Maybe we'll get something like $70,000 to $80,000 Bitcoin. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people like BlackRock with their Bitcoin ETF that they want to get pushed through. So it's possible. I think someday we could see a six-figure Bitcoin, but I don't want to just jump to that conclusion, assume that's going to happen, and then make another mistake in terms of my financial strategy. Either way, I think what could happen is I think if even nothing gets really delivered, maybe we just get bronze tickets, we get veve. I think we could return to retest 0.0080 because that's a strong level of resistance. If you looked at the charts, we rejected that, bounced down off of that 3 times. So that's a strong level of resistance. If we break through 80, I think we can see return to a previous all-time high very quickly from there. But then again, we're going to have another big piece of resistance at that, 1 cent, 1.3 cent mark. There are a lot of people who have been here for a long time, especially the people with big bags that have been in here since 2018, that will likely take profit all the way to the 1 cent mark. I see all the time in groups people talking about, hey, I'm going to sell at 1 cent or take a little bit of profit at 1 cent. These are people with big bags. But the reason they say that is because that's probably a lot of money to them. They've been holding for so long, but they want to keep some as well because they want to see if we can break through that 1 cent. Because if we do, we could see a lot more price appreciation. My personal feeling is that 1.8 cents could be our new all-time high in the next 2 years. 700 some odd days, we could see a 1.8 cent sometime around the halving, after the halving. That's my personal prediction, personal feeling. Within the next 3-4 years, I think a 5 to $10 billion valuation is possible. And that would entail maybe 2 to 3 cents. I think that's possible in the next couple years. I know we've talked about on this channel before a $1 OMI, a 2 to 5 cent price prediction, but I do think that's a little bit a ways away with their development cycle. I think their development is going to go exponentially higher, but I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to say a price that's just not going to happen. The one reason I've always talked about a $1 price prediction is I always believed that in a bear market situation, we would be actively burning tokens. We would have some sort of utility along the way. Because if you look at the OMI token tracker, I think in the reserve, we have like 70 billion tokens, I think. So we've burned actually quite a bit of OMI in that non-circulating supply. So it would have been nice to have seen maybe a situation where we get through all of those non-circulating tokens by the end of the year or early next year, and then start actively buying some of these low price tokens. But it is what it is. We're going to see eventually utility rolled out where we're going to burn just an incredible amount of tokens. But since we kind of missed out on that, I've kind of been a lot more conservative in kind of my prices here. I think it's gonna. I just want to be a lot more conservative, just in general. Now, why do I think we could see a lot of these prices? Why do I think it's reasonable to see price movement? Because all the things that people are negative about, things like where are the exchanges, where is a lot of this utility, is the exact reason why I believe we have opportunity to do so well. Other tokens and other projects, they've already blown through that utility aspect or that you exchange aspect to it. Looking at a token like Illuvium, you know, they already have so many exchanges. So another exchange is not going to move that needle very well. Whereas if you look at OMI, we don't have a major tier one exchange. And that I think is by design, not because they're trying to have some conspiracy theory here, but in general, if you have a tier one exchange, it's it's an exchange with exposure to the US market. Coinbase, Binance US are things that I think about when I think about a tier one exchange. And I think by them avoiding a US based exchange, you avoid any SEC litigation. Right now, we have so many regulatory issues. You just look at the news about XRP, about all the things Gary Gensler is doing or not doing. You can see why you want to avoid that exposure. And I think by avoiding a US based exchange, you avoid all those issues. Someday it's going to become very clear in terms of the regulation. And I think at that point, we will see a coin-based exchange. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon, at least until we see a different administration. With Biden in office, it doesn't seem he is very pro crypto in general. So we still have that exchange piece to help kind of pump up that price a little bit. OMI utilities, we still haven't seen. On one hand, we have had staking, but we have nothing to do with these MCP points. As we add these utility items into it, I think we'll have more and more buy pressure. And I think should reasonably expect the OMI token price to continually go up. VVverse, I talked about the VVverse. I think from a licensing legal perspective, the VVverse is a lot more flexible for the VV team to provide something in terms of additional utilities. We don't know what that looks like, but accessories are something that I think I'm big on. It seems from what people have been talking about the VVverse demo, you can make a lot of things. You have some great creation tools. So maybe we won't have a situation where VV is selling lamps, for example, because I think you could probably make your own lamp. It seems like there's a lot of lighting opportunities here. So why would you buy a lamp when you can make it yourself? So that low hanging fruit of cheap accessories is probably not going to be the way they go in terms of OMI, right? I think it's going to be premium accessories and collectibles that could be bought with OMI. And I think initially it's going to be a limited amount, but I don't think we'll have things like sofas that you can buy with OMI. I mean, honestly, you're probably going to be able to make that yourself or get that for free somehow. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I don't know. I don't really have too much imagination in regards to that, but I think the sky's the limit. I mean, anyways, yeah, that's all I have to really say about that aspect there. Let me get through some more comments here as well. Need to get listed back in MEXC. Need to get listed on MEXC. Do you think Taps will come back? Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on with his situation, but I kind of got the sense that it's something personal. The fact that he hasn't posted at all, I mean, I would love to see him back, but it could be just something about the public nature of being a YouTuber, you know? I wouldn't want my job necessarily to know that I have a YouTube channel or that I talk about my passions like the Omi token. I like to keep it segregated, but I already have some real world friends that already know I have this channel, and it's a little embarrassing, and I would like to keep it separate. So maybe there's a possibility he wants to keep his personal life kind of separate as well. Inviting the ecomi CEO for a stream. I've purposely never asked others, notable people on the team to have an interview. Part of it is I'm kind of shy. Part of it is I get anxious in sort of interview situations. I get this pressure of wanting to ask great questions for the host and keep it really entertaining. Um, and so I've kind of tended to avoid that. I used to do that in 2021, but I've kind of like to leave that to others. I like others to do the interviewing nowadays. So, is it likely that they ever do that, or that I ever do that? Maybe sometime in the future, but for now, not in the intermediate term there. I also feel like I don't know if they think of my channel in a positive light, or they think I'm just a big fudder. I don't know what they think about it, and I don't want to be rejected by saying, "Hey, Reese or David or Dan, would you like to come on the channel?" and be hardcore rejected like that. So I'll leave it to other people for now. Vivi Meister, I remember when you did an intro. It's really good. I don't do intros anymore. I think I have a really goofy, sometimes dark sense of humor, and I've put out some intros before that has offended people or that people really didn't like. So I like to keep it separate. Just don't want to offend anyone or say something that's very controversial. So, oh, Vivi Fanbam, Taps will likely get back soon. It's getting married, hopefully after the honeymoon. Oh, great. I would love to see Taps back. My joke is that once Taps returns, Omi will moon, and I really believe that. David Yu on Randy's stream yesterday said that they have some secret projects that will blow our mind. I saw that clip. I haven't seen that whole interview. I've because I have children now, and it's been a lot more difficult to actually get the free time to really spend a lot of time researching different things. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I do want to watch that whole thing because it's incredible. I really, I don't think we really know what to expect when it comes to ecomi and Vivi. I think the best is yet to come. I wonder what could be top secret though. Now that I think about it, I mean, is it some utility item? Is it? I don't know. I have no idea really. Makes sense. 3 cents is my max all-time high guess for next bull. I think it could go higher. I really do, but I want to be super conservative. Um, and even 2 to 3 cents, I'm kind of hesitant to even say that, but it's my opinion. I mean, that's what I believe, but I don't want to kind of get all up in the price prediction game because I think if I even harmed one person with my personal opinion on price, it's probably not worth it. But I want to be super conservative, and I think that's conservative. 1.3 cents would mean over 1 million for Randy and 2 million for Jordan. They would sell, so everyone else. So 1.3 cents will be very difficult to really reach. Maybe. Utility. This is just basic as a type of staking in the end. Beavers, ticket, and so on utility. I think it is basic utility, but they're doing basic utility on purpose because they think they can deliver. 1 utility, 2 circulating burn with more utility, 3 VVverse, 4 utility and VVverse, 5 marketing, 6 exchanges. Yeah. So I don't know. I want to talk about a few other things here. Oh, I don't think I talked about MCP point inflation. So right now we have a situation where people with large collections that have had large collections since day one probably have a lot of points. Add to that, those people with large collections probably have expendable income that they could potentially also supercharge their MCP holdings with a lot of with OMI. Therefore, they could have incredible amounts of 1 million plus MCP points. We don't know how to properly value MCP points, but and I don't even want to try to do this on the channel, but it's clear that 1 million points is a lot. 1,000 points is probably not a lot. So what are they going to do with this 1 million points? I think Vivi is incentivized to create a situation, and I think other creators have said this is not my idea. I have seen other people talk about it, but there is probably an incentive to get rid of some of these massive stockpiles of MCP points. Imagine if MCP points are very valuable and you have 1 million points. You're probably never going to go through your MCP points. And I think there's going to be a situation is to others like, why would I even compete? I can't even compete even with OMI because these people have so many MCP points. They just spam bronze tickets. They get every drop, for example. So there's going to be a situation that I think Vivi will try to put a dent in these stockpiles. They want to get rid of this MCP inflation, so to speak. So how do they do that? I think Sleep and Comics talked about the idea of maybe having some special collectible that's very expensive where people would want to trade in their MCP points to get this special collectible that is either worth a lot of money or is worth a lot of prestige. That could be a way you could burn through all these MCP points. Another thing is, are MCP points going to be, or are bronze tickets going to be super cheap where you can just buy a bunch of them, or are they going to be kind of valuable? If they're kind of valuable, the ecosystem will naturally get rid of a lot of those MCP points. What if you can trade a lot of MCP points for some special real world perks, just like you have the Vivi logo holders? What if you could get kind of the same advantages of perhaps a Vivi logo or a very special, very limited one-time utility item logo, where I don't know, maybe you get to have a special lunch with the team and after a convention or something. I mean, there's just a lot of utility items, and I think the community is a lot more creative in kind of talking about this there. I feel that Mark says, I feel that Vivi is going to drop some fire drops for the MCP to start. I think that's a possibility too. What if they're saving? I don't know. Actually, I don't. Now that I think about it, I don't know how they're the licensors. The licensors would have to kind of okay it, but maybe some of those some of the drops that Vivi kind of takes aside for their own uses, maybe they reserve some of those for these MCP drops. Maybe something like, I don't know, a tier one license. We haven't really seen a major tier one license yet. What if they're saving it for something like this OMI token utility? It's a possibility. It's another way to burn through a lot of points. I don't want to get into how much OMI I have. I want to kind of keep that to myself. Yeah, I just really want to keep that to myself right now. But in terms of my exit strategy, kind of one thing I would like to do is at some point, I would like to get back my capital. And obviously, if I 2x my initial buy-in, I could get back my capital, but a lot of my upside goes away, right? So I might want to be in a situation where I at least, I don't know, 3 to 5x before I start to even consider that. And it might be slow. And I haven't thought about it that much. And I've kind of toyed around with different ways, but it is important for me to get back my capital, how much I put in. But I want to also capture that upside. And so, for example, let's say I am up $500,000 in profit. I don't know what that would look like, when that would happen, but let's say that happens to me. That is a lot of money to me. That's an incredible amount of money. And that would be very tempting to take a lot of that off the table. I think for me in my personal situation, waiting till I hit 1 million is probably a big OMI token amount. I mean, big price amount. I don't want to really share too much because then I'll share how much I have. But that's probably not realistic in the next 2 years. So, will I take profit after I have $200,000 in profit? Take some capital, let the rest ride. Probably something like that. I am not an incredibly wealthy person. I have a great salary, but a couple $100,000 is a lot of money, and it would start to become very tempting to take profit. I'm not going to be one of those that waits a decade before I take some profit. I'm going to take profit in the early term, but not anytime soon. And probably, I probably won't take profit until we break through at least 0.0080. And I'm talking a little bit of profit, not large amounts of profit, because I want to be tax efficient as well. I don't want to take all this money out, get hit with this massive tax bill, and then also limit kind of how much profit I actually get in my pocket at the end of the day. I see people are trying to goad me here. I've been buying OMI since I publicly stated that I had that amount. So I don't just have that amount. Humdog, yeah, I used to have that amount. I have more than that now. He might have paper handed. That's why he doesn't want to disclose. I haven't actually sold since the 2021 days. He's taken it 1 cent. Like I said, I don't really know. I don't really know. And I don't want to say something publicly and then have it change, but all I'm saying is at a certain point, it's going to start to become very attractive to kind of take profit. So we'll have just a few more minutes of maybe asking some questions. Does anyone have any questions about anything at all here? I want to know if we're going to have another VV convention later this year in November, another Anaheim Designer Con. I was disappointed to hear that they didn't have another Designer Con in London. That was a very limited showing, though, by the way. When I went over there, great trip. I loved London. My wife was talking of how she would definitely go back to London. It was kind of there was a lot of people there in proportion to the general attendance rate of the convention, but it was nowhere near the size of Anaheim. And it was a little bit disappointing, actually. And I mean, there was a lot of people, but I was expecting a lot of people. Anaheim was a lot larger, and that was definitely a lot more exciting. But I think that a lot of people are based in the US, probably aren't going to go to London on a random trip, but they probably could take a flight to California, to LA, to Anaheim, to eventually enjoy meeting everyone there. Humdog says something interesting. I still got my 12 million, but I've been too nervous to buy more. I will say this. I was really nervous to buy when it was at 0.0050 because it's easy to talk about buy the dip when it's that low. But at that time, the price was priced correctly in relation to fear. People didn't know if the team was going to deliver. People really believe there's going to be a rug pull. I mean, I never believed that. I never believed to that extent. But I also wasn't sure if there was something wrong in the company at that point, So I was a little hesitant too. And granted, there's a lot of things financially that happened to me as well. My wife was working and then had the baby. We have to pay all these hospital bills. And even though we have medical insurance, I have probably paid $5,000 or $6,000 in terms of out of pocket. That's a lot of money that I could have used to buy OMI. We also had some things go on with our vehicles, one vehicle, in fact. So now we're going to have to buy another car. So that's another consideration. I don't really like car loans. I haven't had a car loan since 2013. I will likely have to have a car loan now. So that's another thing to consider. Of course, having kids and paying for their activities like like swimming. My daughter's in swimming now, and we're thinking about, is she going to do things like dance or taekwondo? I want to make sure my daughters have every opportunity to explore like my parents gave to me. So there's money that goes there. My wife is still on maternity leave. Actually, she worked a few days ago. That was her start. But, she hasn't really worked in a while. So that's another thing. So we have a lot of expenses. So even though I'm very happy with, I think my salary I receive from my company currently is fair, there's a lot of expenses. So it's limited what I could buy. But I've also been very scared. Things like Gary Gensler talking about Bitcoin being the only thing that's not a security has scared me. But in hindsight, likely those fears were overblown. Overblown. Nicholas Carter, I'm taking at 3 cents. IDC8, wow, 27 million. And from the bear market, let's go. Danny the Bull says, come to NYCC. Oh, real quick. I want everyone to hit the like button. I want to try to get 100 viewers at any given point. We're at 94 right now. We're really, really close. Just kind of spam that like button for me if you've enjoyed the stream so far. I would appreciate it. Just an ego thing. I want to hit that 100 viewer mark. Let's see if we can do that. Come to NYC. I love New York. I would love to visit you again. Actually, you're one of my favorite friends I've met along the way. The only thing that stops me is the large ticket price for NYCC and all that. But that's kind of a cheaper trip for me. Actually, there's a direct flight from where I live to New York. So that would be great. I'd have to get the wife's okay. She'd have to take care of 2 kids, which is pretty difficult. Mark says, you are a good dad, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Comic-Con in October. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm starting a new job soon. I'm working at a different hospital system. I'm going to be seeing patients at a different type of clinic. It's an urgent care clinic. So if you have a cough or you have a broken bone, you can come and see me at my small little urgent care in a town in Oklahoma. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of a random tangent there. Throw out a percentage chance. Does Veve have Pokemon? At the time, there was all that Pokemon speculation. We didn't have it, but I don't think they're going to give any hints anymore. I do personally think that Pokemon is the creme de la creme of license. Probably super expensive. Could they even afford it? It's just a lot of money. I think they probably could afford it at the sacrifice of other things. I think we will see that though, maybe sometime in the future. If Omi hits all-time high in the next 2 years, can we get one funny YouTube Dan Lee funny intro to celebrate? Yes. What I want to do is I want to revive that. Remember when there was that time when we were thinking about we would have all these parties? Randy Chavez was going to throw a party, and I was wanting to come. He was going to have a great little punk rock cover band. I want to go back to that. When we hit all-time high, I will do whatever you want. If you want me to do a funny intro, we will. We can even have a little party. Maybe I'll arrange something with Kyle Wilson or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something where we can kind of celebrate. I did throw around the idea when I thought we would reach an all-time high in 2021. I did throw around the idea of having a 1 cent party. 1 cent, Randy Chavez would be a millionaire. Probably even a little less than that. He would still be a millionaire because I think he has a lot of OMI. I don't know how much he has. But that would be really, really great to go back to do something fun to celebrate. I definitely will celebrate at my break-even point, somewhere arrange. Maybe I won't because then you might be able to figure out how much I have. But maybe I'll publicly talk about it once we break even. I don't know. Well, the sky's the limit here. I'm with you on getting my original investment out, but I do want to secure some profits for holding this long too. Yeah, I mean, you've held it at the riskiest time. You don't want to shortchange yourself. But I did, when I interviewed one of my whales, he did give me some great advice about taking profit. It's important to take profit during these cycles. We already went through this dump cycle. We need to take some amount of profits along the way, regardless of where the price ends up. I definitely want to do that. Hey, congratulations! You're a new girl dad as well. I I have enjoyed being a girl dad. I have two girls now, and I think it's great. We will try someday for a boy, not anytime soon. Got to give my wife a rest, but I would like to have a boy someday. But if I get three girls and then that's it for me, that's fine as well. Vivi has had Pokemon from the start. Yeah, there's been different hints. I don't know what to believe, but um, I will just take Vivi at face value and assume they don't have it yet, but I believe they will have it soon enough. It's notable that I don't think anyone in Web3 NFTs has Pokemon. So, anyways, we'll see. All right, it's 51 minutes, and I think my wife has come back with our daughter. So I will say thank you for enjoying my stream. Uh, it's good to have a stream. I feel a little rusty. We will have much more as news comes about. I think streams are faster to put out than a actual formal video, but I do enjoy making videos. So we'll see. We'll close out here with going through these last comments. They have Pokemon, in my opinion. We'll release it this bull cycle. Imagine what pump. What do you think well would do to the price? Like I said, I think a price of 2 to 3 cents in the next, as we get into the next bull cycle, is a possibility. I think at a minimum 1.8 cents in the most realistic bull cycle prediction. So maybe close to 2 cents. Daniel, you spicy Dorito, let's go. Thank you all. I will see you all in the next one. Appreciate you. We'll have many more videos to come and great news. Take care. Have a good day. Peace.